Hello and welcome to Money Life. This is Sucheta Dilal. Once again, we're going to talk about Zee Entertainment Enterprises, or rather Zee. Everybody knows the TV channel, and we know that for the last week we've seen this major drama about Invesco, large global fund, $53 billion in its kitty, wanting to oust Puneet Goenka, who's the managing director and CEO. Now, after the requisition and extraordinary general meeting to get him out, I'm not going to go into the history. Those of you who followed this video blog know that two directors resigned just before things came up and an EGM notice has been served. But essentially what has happened is that Zee seems to have dug in its heels. It announced a surprise announcement, a quick fix merger, marriage with Sony Picture Networks, large media giant again, and everybody was happy. Investors were happy, the stock price zoomed up, a huge bulge bracket investor like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala came in, and it was happy days. Not quite. Things aren't working out so smoothly because Invesco Developing Markets Fund, while happy at the possible merger, has dug in its heels and said we still want Puneet Goenka out. More importantly, on Friday, that's yesterday, it moved the National Company Law Tribunal, which is a very unusual development, and asked that Zee should be ordered to call for the CGM. That's raised a lot of questions. Zee, as you know, is a media giant, obviously controls the media narrative to an extent. So a lot of analysts and journalists have stepped in and begun to ask questions about what is Invesco's agenda and why is it not happy with the merger. In fact, it says it's happy. And why does it still insist on Mr. Goenka being out? Because the popular narrative put out by the company is that he's the best man for the job. It's hard to believe because there are many media giants and many people. But let's update what happened. NCLT took note of what they said and has ordered Zee to requisition an EGM, pointed out very obviously to the board of directors that this is a mandate of the law and it's not a discretionary power. Until then, the Zee board also met, and we hear that they're going ahead with calling the EGM, not that they have a choice. What is happening in the process is that everybody is watching, a little tensed up, wondering who's going to win and what is going to be the impact on the company. Some would say it doesn't matter, the merger will stay, because even the largest investor, Invesco, with an 18% shareholding, it's quite clear that they're not unhappy with the merger. So unless Sony decides that it will only stay if Puneet Goenka is around, that is not going to be shaken up. Let's now look at the questions that have been asked of Invesco. Large fund, is it, as the board seems to see, a hostile aggressor? Far from it. In fact, the board has gone on record to call Invesco's action impulsive and sort of hurried. But you need to look at the history to understand where Invesco comes from and what this is all about. Two things. Why is it in a hurry now? So what we hear is that Invesco has been hassled about related party transactions, write-offs. There has been conversations going on behind the scenes for a long time, and things have come to a head because in this calendar year, the rules are different. Voting rules change from Jan 2022. So Friday was the last working day before an EGM could be requisitioned, and the 21-day deadline, there has to be another 21-day notice after which an EGM can be held. If Zee manages to delay things, and I must say when I say Zee here, I should say Puneet Goenka, whose family now holds just 4% in the company, but he controls it. If they manage to push it to Jan, things are going to be more difficult, but because he can't be voted out with a simple majority of the votes, it will need a 75% concurrence. What would you do if you were an 18% shareholder? You would want to get things done in a hurry, especially if you are not new to the company and actually have been around for a very, very long time. So like I said, the timing is important. It is not inconsequential. Second question, The Indian law allows companies to large shareholders with over 10% to requisition a meeting themselves. So the question that was being asked on behalf of Zee was, why isn't Invesco doing it? It's got deep pockets. But as Invesco's lawyer pointed out before the NCLT in court, it doesn't have details of the 2.5 lakh shareholders of Zee, and it's not possible for it to call an EGM from the outside. And I think that's how it should be, because a company should do it itself. Why is Invesco doing this? Well, remember, Invesco is not a vulture fund. Invesco is not a hostile takeover company. It is a fund. It has invested over 5,000 crores recently to bail out Zee, and it has a fiduciary responsibility to its investors. The point that Invesco is making, and they've answered some of our questions in an email to MoneyLife, is that it is upset that on the 21st of September, when it requisitioned an EGM, this letter was not made public and disclosed to stock exchanges, as is the rule under the listing agreement. The second letter was written after the merger was announced, and even this was kept hidden and not disclosed to shareholders. It raises a lot of questions in Invesco's mind, and also raises questions about the independence of the board of directors. Remember, now the company is being controlled by someone who holds less than 4%, and the person asking questions, or the body asking questions, has an 18% shareholding. And yet the entire board seems aligned with this one person and is calling its largest investor hasty and other names, and not acting under the laws, which, remember, even related party transactions as well as disclosures to stock exchanges is not about the managing director. It's a collective responsibility of the board of directors. And when will a board of directors defy it? When they're so aligned to current management. So the next big question, what is Invesco's agenda? Already said, it's not a vulture fund. It has 53 billion of investment. It has never acted as an aggressor in other companies. It holds shares in HDFC, TCS, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and many others. In fact, its Zee investment, while significant for Zee, is just 0.93% of its portfolio. And as Invesco said in an email to us, its action in requisitioning an EGM is so rare that they said it is unique in the history of our fund, according to the spokesperson. So, not a hostile bidder at all. But again, I have some questions. Why is Invesco suddenly taking such a high model ground this time, when it has been with Zee since the Ketan Parikh scam just after 2002? That's the time it came with a big shareholding of nearly 8%. The second time it invested more than 10% was in 2019. Let me give you some details. Invesco's fund manager, Justice Leverance, and the Zee Group go back really to the time when he was with Oppenheimer, which later merged with Invesco Group. He picked up this nearly 8% stake in Zee just after the Ketan Parikh scam. Now, Zee was one of the K10 stocks, as they were called those days, and people used to follow them like as though it was a index. And they had been ramped up to stratospheric highs and then crashed when the scam came out and Ketan couldn't pay. A joint parliamentary committee, as some of you may recall, said that Ketan Parikh was chief architect of that scam, and Zee crashed. So Invesco came in at that time, expressed confidence, thought Zee would turn around, then turned extremely lucky because Zee is politically very powerful and has great contacts. So it managed to get the entire investigation of its involvement, and there was a serious involvement completely documented by the Joint Parliamentary Committee reports. It came out of it unscathed with just a warning issued by SEBI and absolutely no follow-up. So the stock soared, Invesco made a lot of money. So that's the time they came in. They were unconcerned, obviously, with the corporate governance and shenanigans of Zee. The second time it invested big time was also very controversial. In fact, 6 debt mutual funds had lent money to the ZSL group against the pledge of such a large component of the promoter equity, that is why the shareholding has come down from nearly 37% down to 4%. This came out in the open when Zee ran into payment problems and couldn't pay. It also transpired, and these mutual funds have been punished for this, that they managed to hide the promoter pledge, and mutual funds, as our editor keeps saying, are supposed to be investors, had turned into lenders. Okay? At this controversial time where there was enormous pressure on not just Zee, but the entire mutual fund industry to get into this kind of dubious deal with Zee, the promoter agreed to a standstill agreement, which is that mutual funds will not sell their shares. Again, unusual, a special concession for Zee, but that he will bring down his equity and find a way to sell shares. That's when, again, Invesco came in with 11%, bought it for 4,224 crore, did not even seek a board position, and Justice Leverance was on record at that time saying, this additional financial investment underscores our continued confidence in the management's ability to deliver long-term growth and financial returns. It's an expression of confidence. And Puneet Goenka was soon the managing director. We heard behind the scenes from sources who don't want to be named that Zee had agreed to play straight, but Indian promoters obviously don't change their ways. So related party transactions continued, and apparently Invesco has been unhappy about it, has been agitated, and even the latest balance sheet of March 2021 has not only related party transactions, money goes out to them and it's written off, which is a way of taking money out of the company. This is what precipitated matters. It's not impulsive and premature as alleged by the Zee board. And like I said earlier, there seems to be a sort of hurry to ensure that whatever happens, change in management has to happen before 31st December 2021. Now, what would you do if you were an investor? How would you bet? Everybody is very happy with the merger. Would you take bets on whether Puneet Goenka will continue? History is any indicator. Zee has always, it's like a cat with 9 lives, and has always used the system to work for it and come out even under pressure. Invesco is a different kind of opponent, has deep pockets. It's not Indian, it's not an Indian regulator, does not have to bow down to political pressure. On the other hand, if people vote with Puneet Goenka, what is Invesco going to do? Is it going to walk out? If Zee with Sony is going to be the blue chip that people predict it will, why would an investor who's been there since 2002 want to walk out? And if Invesco dumps its 18%, what happens to the shares? Will there be buyers? A lot of people think that yes, there will be buyers, because just as Rakesh Jhunjhunwala jumped in to buy a huge stake, there's a whole network that Subhash Chandra, the promoter of Zee, has, who seem to be rallying around in support. So it's battle between Puneet Goenka and Invesco. On paper, it would seem that Puneet Goenka with a 4% shareholding is on a weak wicket, but we know that in India things work rather differently, and there is a lot that political clout and friendships and meditation clubs and trusteeships can do. So it'll also be self-defeating for Invesco to hold on, and we have still not understood its high moral ground here. It wants aggressive growth. If Zee Sony is going to grow aggressively after the merger, is Invesco going to just call off whatever it's saying and do a compromise? We don't know. The fact is that picture abhi baki hai. What finally emerges is going to have a lot of lessons for good governance, for shareholder activism, how companies behave, and how foreign institutional investors view India. Let's wait and watch. If you like what I've said, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.